Hey guys, Tatiana Ward here. So I went on Snapchat yesterday and I was just talking about how I was getting together another background to use for these videos. And I was saying that it feels like I'm starting all over again. It feels like I'm starting YouTube and the YouTube journey all over again. The major difference is that I have all of the lighting that I need and I have the means that I need to be able to buy things, and I have a much better camera. But still, it feels like I'm just totally reintroducing myself. And I went even further in that Snapchat rant, saying how in the very beginning, I remember how difficult it was to get used to seeing myself on camera, to get used to seeing my mannerisms, to get used to hearing my voice. I felt like I sounded like a man. I felt like I looked too fat. I felt like the gap in between my teeth was just totally distracting. Just weeks prior to my deciding that I was going to start my YouTube channel, the bonding that I had on my teeth since I was 13 years old just randomly decided to come off. So I was 27 when I started YouTube, and I hadn't seen that gap in my teeth since I was 13 years old. Obviously, I got it closed because it was a major insecurity of mine, and to see it resurface was traumatic, but then to see myself on camera with it was even more traumatic. So anyway, so many of you came into my DMs and you were saying, oh, thanks for the inspiration. Thanks for saying that. Thanks for owning up to the fact that I was scared in the beginning and that it was painful to see myself on camera. It was painful to get used to what I looked and sounded like. And so many of you said that it was giving you the motivation to start your own channels. And a lot of you wrote me to say, what is it that happened that made you keep going with it? How did you get past the hurdles of feeling insecure on camera, knowing that nobody was watching to begin with? Wondering, am I doing it right? Do I look as stupid as I think I do? Do I sound as stupid as I think I do? What makes me think that I can put makeup on other people and be good at it? And the best way to answer those questions is that I don't know. What I will say is that I had a background in theater. That helped tremendously. That doesn't mean that I was used to seeing myself on camera, though. I mean, I had been in, theater and always was like the lead role in the musicals and was never scared to perform in front of crowds. I was never the kid that was scared to do public speaking. So that definitely helped, knowing that I had that background and knowing that I wasn't scared to speak in front of people. And still to this day, it's a hell of a lot easier for me to stand in front of a classroom full of people and teach. But that's not being recorded, and I don't have to look at that. And I'm comfortable in front of people, but knowing that there's the potential of millions of people seeing you can be a scary thing, even with the background that I have. They say that you shouldn't focus on what it is that you don't want because you'll manifest that in your life. I kind of feel differently about it. Sometimes you don't know which direction you want to go in, but you know what you don't want, so you're not going to allow that to happen. I knew that I wanted to speak to people. I knew that I had a lot of things, positive things to say. I just relied on the things that I knew that I was good at and the things that I knew that I wanted. I wanted a following. I wanted for people to listen to me when I spoke. So I just thought about what it is that I did want and also thought about what it is that I didn't want. I did not want to be working in an office. I didn't want to go to college. I was a terrible, terrible student. And I think a major part of it is the question of why not me? Why not me? As much as the devil will get in your head and tell you, what it is that you're not, you have to remember, number one, he's a liar. And number two, know what it is that you are. I knew that I had nice eyes. I knew that I was a good speaker. I knew that I was passionate about makeup. I knew that I was a likable person. And I knew that if I had seen other girls that were doing it, then I could do it too. And I'm fortunate that I started out back in the day when there was like a handful of beauty gurus, maybe 300 people doing makeup videos. And now there's like 3 million people doing makeup videos. So I was fortunate to just have the odds in my favor. I still believe, however, that if I were to start today, my fate would have been my fate regardless. And I say that all the time. I just had this conversation with my friend today and I said, I don't believe that it's my destiny to be a makeup artist forever. But I do believe that my fate, no matter what, is to speak to people, have an audience that listens to what it is that I have to say, remind people that God is real, and capable of doing more than you can envision for yourself and thrive. I think it's everybody's birthright to thrive. So many, thousands of girls I've taught in my live classes at this point, and all of them are aspiring to be makeup artists. And this industry is so oversaturated at this point that it really does take a person who, number one, is dedicated to becoming a great makeup artist. And part of becoming great at anything is failure. So getting past those hurdles and those failures when you completely screw up and you make somebody look horrible, understanding that that's part of the process of success is failure. It's the greatest teacher, and it's what separates those who truly want it from those who don't. I was so lucky to have Brandy as my first client because she was so kind and she was so patient with me. By the time I got to Nicki Minaj, I was more comfortable and I was more confident, but she was not easy. And I'm not saying that she was awful either. I'm just saying she wasn't easy. And she demanded that I have my shit together. And she's a very intimidating girl. So I would often leave her and she would tell me that something was wrong, or she would tell me that I had done something wrong. And I would often leave her feeling defeated. But doing makeup on other people, it's an incredibly intimidating job. One of the most important things to a woman, unfortunately, is her vanity. And you're holding her self-esteem in your hands. Or a big portion of her self-esteem in your hands. When I was doing dancers, I remember distinctly thinking that was when I started to feel like a real makeup artist, because these girls are paying me to feel good about themselves. And whoa, that's a lot of responsibility, because how they feel about themselves is a direct result of how they act when they're out on the floor, how they interact with the men, and how much money they make. More often than not, girls would walk away loving what I'd done. But there were a couple times when somebody was like, oh my God, I have to wash this off. And those moments are moments that, number one, you got to look at how you deal with it. I was crushed, like absolutely crushed, but I still showed up to work the next day. And I promised myself it would never happen again. So I learned from whatever mistake. And that one scenario, it wasn't even a mistake. It's just like the girl liked what she liked. She liked super thin, like Ronald McDonald eyebrows. And that's what she wanted. And I was like, why don't you just let me, try something else out? And she hated it. So that made the blow less. But still, it's terrible to have somebody be like, oh my God, I hate it. And I have to see you again the next day. And I had clients who would be like, do you understand how terrible this makeup looks? It's celebrities, or a celebrity. And I was like, if I thought that it was terrible, I would never let you walk out of the house. She's like, so you don't see how dumb this looks right now? And I'm like, no, sorry. And she's like, get out of the fucking car. So I got out of the car, asked her management, like, what should I do? She hates me right now. I don't know what to do. And he's like, that's just how she is. Just stick around. So I had to go the rest of the night with this girl who I knew was hating what I'd done, but she was paying me to be there. And within 30 minutes, she was taking selfies and like it never happened. But still, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I did something so wrong. And still, she called me back to work the next day. I think there's just something within a person who truly wants something. It's some kind of X factor that just makes you do it. And if it is something that you truly love, it's moments like that that will remind you that this is your path and this is the way you're supposed to go. I remember recording the first video, trying to learn editing, looking back at it and being like, oh my God, do I really look like that? Do I really sound like that? Do I really make those facial expressions? Am I really that big? However, something in me said, keep going. And when I reflect on years of singing and songwriting, I was in studios with major producers, and after a certain point of so many failures, I gave up. And that's how I know that that wasn't the path for me. That's not to say that that's not one of my talents. That's not to say that it's something that I won't revisit. But I knew when it was time to throw in the towel because I wasn't willing to fight for it anymore. And I reached that point with makeup artistry too, you know, which is why you guys saw me stop working with celebrities after a certain point. You know, I had a bad fallout with a client that I really cared about, and I was treated really terribly. And it wasn't the first celebrity that treated me terribly, but I just kind of retreated. And it's not to say that I won't revisit it again, but I knew that it was time for me to separate myself from that world because it had broken my heart. And it wasn't the kind of thing where I felt like I had failed. I did exactly what I wanted to do. I did exactly what I set out to do. But it was the kind of thing where it was like, man, I don't know if I'm thick enough for this. I don't know if I have a thick enough skin. I had the thick enough skin to get in the door, to work with many, to fight everything in my brain that was saying, you don't deserve to be on this friggin' private jet. You don't deserve to go to dinner with Drake. You don't deserve to have Khloe Kardashian sitting next to you at a dinner table. Countless moments that it was like, I don't even deserve this. But I just kept showing up. And the same with YouTube. When I posted that first video and absolutely nobody watched, I still kept showing up. You know, things go in phases. Like, here I am and I'm showing up again. Whereas the biggest thing was time, really, that I didn't have the time to do YouTube to begin with. But it doesn't surprise me that I'm showing up yet again after completely walking away from it. And I might show up again for music too. And I did show up again for music. You know, I wrote Slay to the Gods. I recorded it. You guys loved it. That was such a defining moment in my life because I wrote a song that so many people liked and so many people downloaded. And, you know, just because it didn't happen in the time that I wanted it to happen doesn't mean that God didn't have it in the works for me to do it. Who knows? I might record a whole album someday. Who knows? I have to be willing to show up to record again. And I have to be willing to turn on the camera to teach you guys again. And I have to be willing to make myself available to do celebrity clients again. And you will know if it's something that you keep coming back to, that it is yours. Most importantly, why not you? Why not you? Listen, I keep trying to be a size 3, but I guess it's just not for me because I just can't stick to the diet. So I guess I just don't want it bad enough. But anything that you truly, truly want, you'll keep showing up. You'll keep cracking away at it. Even when the devil creeps in and whispers to you, do you know how foolish you look? Something in you will say, nah. I may look foolish, but nah. Realize this industry, from YouTube to makeup, as a makeup artist, it has taught me how fragile I am, but it's very much taught me how strong I am too. But you can't win them all, man. So you can't go into it thinking you're going to win them all. So when you were thinking about becoming a makeup artist, or when you were thinking about starting up your YouTube channel, remember that you are not for everybody. Not everybody is for everybody. Not everything is for everybody. Beyonce can be as extraordinary as she is, and there are still people who, even in a nice way, are like, just don't get it. Just don't get it. Fine. So in closing, just I want you to always remember that any negative thought that comes to your mind when you're starting something, anything awful that comes to mind is truly the devil. And unfortunately, he's tricky, and he can even use the people that you care about and that care about you to discourage you. But if it's in your heart, you will keep defying every bad word, every bad thought, and you'll just keep going. So that's that. Love you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed the video, and comment below on topics that you'd like to hear me talk about. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you right back here real soon. Bye.
Just anyway.
Press that button for me, babe. Remember when I said that I wanted to be a size 3? Apparently not.